To an all-new for you this morning, Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz and County Comptroller Mychajliw are on opposite ends of the political spectrum, but the differences don't stop there. This is a story the 7 Eyewitness News I-Team has been digging into for months now. Our I-Team Chief Investigator Charlie Specht went through nearly 1,500 pages of attendance records to see just how much time your elected leaders are spending in the office dating back before the pandemic.
During his 8 years in office, Erie County Comptroller Mychajliw has built a reputation as an aggressive taxpayer watchdog.
They deserve a champion in the Rath Building. They deserve a fighter in the Rath Building, someone who's going to fight for their interests every single day.
But one thing the County Comptroller isn't telling taxpayers is that according to county data, he rarely shows up to work here at the Rath County office building. 7 Eyewitness News filed a Freedom of Information request for 12 months of attendance information for the county's top leaders, including Poloncarz and Mychajliw. Security at the Rath Building requires employees to swipe their ID badges to unlock the doors to their offices. The I-Team sifted through 1,400 pages of swipe records for a one-year period, half of which occurred before the COVID-19 pandemic and half after. From September 2019 through August 2020, Mychajliw stepped into his office at least once on a total of 62 weekdays, but he showed no swipes on 190 weekdays and swiped in on 7 weekend days or holidays. During that same time frame, Poloncarz swiped into his office at least once on a total of 213 weekdays. He showed no swipes on 40 weekdays and swiped in on 32 weekend days or holidays. On average, Mychajliw showed up to his office 5 weekdays per month and was not at the office 16 weekdays per month. Poloncarz showed up to his office on average 18 weekdays per month and was not at the office 3 weekdays per month.
I don't mind working hard. I feel like the people get good value from the work that I put in based on the hours that I put in. You may not always agree with my decisions, but I hope people will never disagree with the amount of effort that we put in to serve them. And when you're in these positions, that's what you should do.
We gave Mychajliw, who makes $80,000 per year, and Poloncarz, who makes $118,000 per year, chances to explain their attendance records at the Rath Building. Only Poloncarz agreed to an interview. He criticized Mychajliw's work habits.
And the county comptroller is one of the more responsible jobs that you're going to see in all of Western New York. You're the chief financial officer for a $1.5 billion entity. If this was a private entity and the CFO for the private entity was showing up 2-3 days a week for a $1.5 billion company, they would have been fired.
In the one-year period reviewed by 7 Eyewitness News, the only month in which Mychajliw spent more weekdays in the office at the Rath Building than he spent out of the office was June 2020, the same month of the Republican primary for New York's 27th Congressional District. Mychajliw finished last in a three-way race.
Kevin Hardwick is part of a political party that supports Black Lives Matter.
Mychajliw may not be at the office much, but he appears to spend a lot of time posting videos about political opponents, often during the workday.
Is on the political payrolls of Mark Poloncarz, the Democratic Party boss, and the Democratic Party.
He's aggressive in his tactics on Poloncarz, claiming the county executive violated COVID-19 lockdowns by playing hockey.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Poloncarz says Mychajliw should focus on his job description and showing up to work.
If that's his goal, is to stalk me because he thinks he can criticize me, he's doing the office wrong. The best way to do it is to come in and focus on the job. And I know, from having been the county comptroller, there's no way you can do this job well coming in 1 or 2 days a week.
And Charlie Specht joins us live now from his house. And Charlie, good morning to you. I guess the biggest question here is Poloncarz had the opportunity to say something. We also gave Mychajliw the opportunity to say something. Why didn't he have anything to say?
And we asked Mychajliw multiple times to sit down with us and explain this. Perhaps he had a reasonable explanation, but he has essentially been hiding from us for the last week. In fact, once we did contact him, we found out through our sources that he made a data request of his own, asking for swipe data for himself and 25 other county employees, many of them who work for Poloncarz. We can only assume that this is kind of an attempt to turn the tables on Poloncarz and his administration. Here, he even went so far as to send a subpoena demanding documents and put
Charlie Speck reporting from home for us. Of course, you know, we are relying on internet signal here, so spotty in some parts around Western New York, as we know. Charlie, though, we thank you for your efforts.